Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome into the Irish Football Pod. Connor, how's it going, dude?
What's going on, guys? I'm feeling good. It's great to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah. Been a few days since we put something out. Sicknesses, other things going on. But a lot of stuff's been percolating in Notre Dame. Got a new GM. Gonna say they had some interviews with some of the assistant coaches, so we're gonna do a separate video on that, probably tomorrow or early this week. But wanted to talk about breakout players for 2025, and I know that Connor and I each have a couple breakout players that we are really looking forward to talking about here today. Um, Dude, so let's start offensively. What do you got for me? 2025 breakout player on offense for you. What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the great one, Great House. I think what he showed in the playoffs is going to resonate throughout these couple months and then into the start of the year. I think he proved a lot of people kind of wrong. Um, he had a he had a decent season leading up to the playoffs, but he really came to life in some of the toughest moments against some of the better defenses that he went up against. So I just think he proved a lot in that short amount of time in those few games, and he's one of those players that you can build a lot of trust into from what he showed. He made some really good plays at some key moments. So
And
yeah,
dude,
he's my number one breakout player.
yeah, I agree with your choice there. And just based off of what he showed in like the biggest moments of the season, I think you're right. I think he is going to be a breakout player that specifically shows that a little bit more throughout the entirety of the season. Took us a little while to get him, excuse me, to get him going. But man, like plays after the catch, like against Penn State, um, in the Ohio State game, like, dude, he was like making some incredible plays. That catch against Ohio State, the one-handed catch, dude, like he has the potential to be an absolute game breaker. And if we've got a little bit more of effective, consistent passing attack, I don't think there's any doubt that he is going to be like A or B option. Like
Hmm.
the quarterback is going to be looking in his direction. Not only
Yeah,
is he good off the line and can get open, but you get him the ball in space and just really good things happen. He's just got kind of like a knack for being in the right spot at the right time and being able to make explosive plays.
makes people miss. You can keen into some of those in those games that you mentioned. A couple key plays, the Penn State game specifically. I remember watching that play with my own eyes. You had Faison come over into motion, and then he just makes his move on the guy pressing him, put him on his ankles, and then he's wide open at that point. The safety was too far back. Well, the safety then tried to tackle him, put him on his ankles. Like, if you put him in positions like that, he's going to make plays. And then the Ohio State game, that second touchdown we scored, quick little comeback screen route, caught it in space, made Caleb Downs miss, ended up scoring. Like you said, you
Yeah.
put him in space, he's going to make some plays.
Caleb Downs was flying downhill as fast as possible. And that
Yeah.
is arguably one of the best safeties in the country as a true sophomore. And that spin move he put on him, like that just shows like his athletic ability, his instincts, like all of that wrapped in. Man, like I totally agree. Great House is going to be a big contributor next year.
Hmm.
So I can't wait to see that. Offensively, for me, I think it's going to be the guy throwing him the ball, and ultimately who I think is going to win the job, and that's CJ Carr. Mitchell Evans had a quote coming out of the NFL combine. He said, CJ Carr has that it factor. Like
Hmm.
he is someone who obviously a guy like Mitch Evans saw the work ethic that CJ Carr has and like what he brings to the table in
Yep.
practice, behind the scenes, all that stuff. I think CJ is going to be the breakout player. I think he is going to eventually win the job throughout spring and fall camp. And then once he gets on the field and gets his opportunities to go, I think, in my opinion, Notre Dame Nation is going to be in for a very, very pleasant surprise with the productivity that we get out of CJ. I think he's going to put up some numbers. Granted, he's a redshirt freshman, so there's going to be some mistakes. I'm totally okay with that, and I think that we will, have some moments where maybe he does show his youth, but I think that upside and what he brings to the table in terms of potential and high ceiling, he is going to be a breakout player for us this year, and basically, in my opinion, take the reins of that quarterback room.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you can just look at videos and pictures of that's just the kids go through so much growth in their college years. You can already see him grow. We haven't. I mean, he had a pretty good showing in the last spring game, to be quite honest with you. But even from then, you've seen just growth. You see just a little bigger in the pads. He just, they grow. They gain strength throughout their time. You can tell he's matured a little bit, and like Mitchell Evans said, he just carries himself kind of as the starter already. He's kind of we have a lot of football to be played, a lot of practices and development that has to happen throughout the next couple months. But they're in good hands. Gino Gaduli, he's a really good coach for I think the three QBs that we will be, you know, looking at for the starting position. But along with what you're saying, CJ Carr, I think, has the most upside. I think he's going to be the best quarterback to get it into our playmakers' hands. And that's what every offense wants.
Absolutely. And kind of, to piggyback off of what you said, sometimes you just need a guy that literally thinks he's the man. And that type of confidence, when backed up with play on the field, you can't really replicate that. Like, and that's what the moxie of a starting quarterback at Notre Dame needs. Like, I
Hmm.
don't care that I'm a redshirt freshman. I'm coming in here knowing like I can be the guy and I'm going to be the guy. So
Yeah.
I think CJ is going to break onto the scene, not only in the Notre Dame program and have a good year, but just in terms of like the nation. Like Notre Dame has been searching for that elite quarterback for quite a while, and I think CJ's got a really good chance of doing that. So I'm fired up for that. So those
Yeah.
are our two
It's,
offensive breakout stars,
hmm
CJ Carr and who'd you say?
Great house. Jaden
Yeah,
Great
Jaden
House.
Greathouse. So good combo, quarterback, wide receiver. I think they could have a really, really unique connection there. Defensive side of the ball, I'm going with Jaden Osbury. I think he silently had one of the best years uh, defensively, and I've got some stats pulled up from him, dude. Last year, he had 56 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss. 34 of those tackles were solo tackles. He had a half a sack, one pass breakup, two quarterback hurries, and also two fumble recoveries. So this is a guy that kind of like Schuler and Watts, like he kind of just found himself around the ball like quite a bit.
Hmm.
So I think Jaden Alsbury with Kaiser and some of the other guys leaving that are like he is going to have a tremendous opportunity with a lot more playing time. And Jack Kaiser had he had 90 tackles last year. I could see Jaden Alsbury getting close to that number. Like he was over halfway there last year.
Yeah.
I think him and combination with him and Sneed, like Jaden Alsbury has a chance to really, really jump onto the scene here.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. He he had a really good year. There was obviously nobody's perfect. He had a couple mishaps in a couple games, but hey, every player does. Um, but I'm gonna go with Junior. Junior, he didn't have the best game for me in the championship game, but really our whole defense really didn't have the best game in that one. But I think Junior is one of those guys that really found his role throughout the season, and he just played like he found that role. It's not easy, but due to injury, he came in and he was playing like he had started from day one, right? And that's comes back to Freeman, starting from the top to the bottom. He's bringing in guys that just keep battling. Injuries can happen, and we need those 2 and 3 guys to be ready, just like the ones. And that's where you build depth. That's what helps you get to where we got to this year. You can't get to the championship game without depth. We proved that on multiple occasions throughout the year. Key players going down, and just like the starters, those guys come in and they're playing like they're ready to go. So I
Yeah,
think
Junior, dude, he saw his opportunity and he literally grabbed it by the horns.
yeah,
The energy that he brought, the playmaking ability that he brought to the game, especially in that run deep in the season. We were so battle tested and so injury like riddled at those positions there. Like his play and his ability to excel when we really needed him to step up just shows like if he gets those consistent reps from the start of the season, like I totally agree. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with on that defensive side of the ball.
yeah. Just seemed like when he came into that role and when he was making plays early, the whole defense is running up to him, freaking head bopping him, just
Fired up.
firing up the defense. Yeah, and you just love to see that, and you just at this point we can tell you straight up it's going to carry on. Like Freeman is the soul of the defense. He has been a defensive guy his whole career. Our defense isn't going to change much. Even Chris Ash mentioned it in his uh, press conference. He's not trying to switch it up much. It's going to be Notre Dame's defense. He just wants to make it better, and that was cool to hear. He's gonna bring a couple different teaching points and bring a couple new things, but he just said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So our
Yeah,
defense is
and to
pretty damn good.
yeah, to Ash's credit, he knows like Notre Dame has such a good thing going defensively. Just come in, put your fingerprints and your, personal touches on it, but there's really not a whole lot that needs to change. And I think that we talked about in previous episodes. The Irish defense is less, golden and more so just this is the mentality of our program. So I
Yeah,
think Ash is going to come in. He's very experienced on multiple levels. He's going to push the right buttons to get the results that we're looking for. So no doubt about that, dude. Um, so yeah, offensively, we got CJ Carr and Jaden Greathouse. Could be an elite connection, quarterback to wide receiver. So we definitely think those are going to be breakout players offensively. And then you've got Jaden Osbury and Junior Tuialamaka on the defensive side of the ball. So, dude, super looking forward to it. Like these guys are ready to just continue and build on what that 2024 season was. So, those are our breakout players for 2025. And we will be touching on this a little bit more as, we get into spring and summer ball. But dude, good episode. Anything before we head out?
yeah. No, I just want to say real quick that stay locked in and hit the subscribe button. We have a giveaway coming up soon. Stay locked in with that. It's going to be a selection of 7 player cards from the former team. So, hit the sub and you'll have a chance to win that. And this was a tough episode. We had a list of 10 guys. You got to break it down in the one player. I mean, we could go on for a couple hours with the talent that's on this roster, really. But yeah, it was a good episode. But yeah, go Irish and stay locked in. We're back on the grind here. So
100% Connor. Thanks for jumping on. And as always, guys, go Irish. We'll talk to you guys
yep,
later.
go Irish.